Oh, oh. We gotta do the intro, okay? You ready? Oh. Tokay Geckos. These dudes are known as three things: aggressive, horrible, and a junkyard gecko. You will ever see anyone saying nice things about Tokays. Pretty much they are seen as a throwaway pet, cheap, undesirable. No one wants these angry, demonic things. But if I were to tell you that those things were just that, just harmful stereotypes, and the fact of the reality is that these can actually make great pets? Probably be saying to yourself, Dakota, no. You hold your bias there, buckaroo, while I play the defensive lawyer in order to squash these harmful stereotypes and prove once and for all that Tokay Geckos actually make great pets. How exactly am I gonna do that? Well, you gotta stick around to find out. Let's talk about some really cool facts about Tokays and why I actually think they make great pets. Let's get into it. Sir! We're never gonna beat the allegations if you keep doing these shenanigans. We have to get back to the videos. No more gymnastics. And that one wasn't as impressive. Into the first reason why Tokay Geckos make great pets, and that's gonna be number one, the hardiness of the Tokay. Out of all the reptiles I've been keeping, Tokays are definitely one of the hardiest reptiles that I have in my collection. You can throw these guys at anything. They are a very forgivable species when it comes to new users' mistakes and figuring out husbandry and all of that stuff. See, a great example is take a look at how they come in as import. Now, usually what you guys are seeing are captive bred stuff, or when people grab imports in, they're gonna fatten them up a little bit before selling them. As long as they're a good importer. You always obviously have bad ones that just grab the skinniest malnourished gecko and still post it online for 20 bucks. The fact of the matter is, at times, these things come literally skin and bones, no fat, no muscle, and they look absolutely terrible. However, because of how robust and hardy the Tokay Gecko is, they can bounce back from it. It's absolutely incredible getting some of these wild-caught Tokays and seeing how awful they are to 30 days later. Good to go, they look like every other normal Tokay you would find out there. Hardy, robust reptile is definitely a plus in my book. You have some species, and I'm gonna throw them under the bus, the Europlatus. A lot of people over the years have been asking me, Dakota, get into Europlatus, you're a gecko guy now, breed the Europlatus geckos. I don't really want to because of how sensitive and unforgivable they are to care mistakes. Species like the Europlatus are unforgiving to the smallest care mistake. They need 100% they need optimal care or else they are gonna fall short, unfortunately. Not the Tokay Gecko. I mean, these things are as hardy as you can get. No heat, with heat, UVB, no UVB, all of the above. However you do want to give proper care. That's why we have the care video right here that goes into that. All in all, that's just one thing I love about Tokays, but let's get into the others. Topic number two on why they make great pets, and that is going to be number two, the intelligence behind the Tokay Gecko. Koda, what are you talking about? Tokay Geckos are just mean, demonic beings that are possessed to fetch souls and bite you. They're not intelligent at all. What are you saying? Well, oh. Brother, beating the allegations if you're acting up like this. The matter is, Tokays are actually very intelligent. I like to refer to these guys as the monitor lizards of the gecko world due to how smart they are. Now, well, oddly enough, people seem to think that an animal that is defensive and a little bit more on the mean side means it is less intelligent. It couldn't be further from the truth. Think about it this way, and from a Tokay Geckos or any gecko's perspective, we are giant gods. Look at us. We are lean, mean, bulking machines, and a giant god going like this to pick up the gecko, that is terrifying. Now, when you have stuff like the crested gecko, I mean, it's got two brain cells bopping around. It doesn't care. You could just boop. It doesn't even know, it can't, it's running on Windows 95. You can hear the processing going on. It can't react to what's happening around itself. Tokay Geckos, on the other hand, have the intelligence to understand that we are scary for them. Also, just to clear up some misinformation that I see spurred all around the Tokay, I am the Tokay Gecko savior. I am here to clear the Tokay Gecko name because I absolutely love this species, and I need it to have some more love than what the community does for it so far. Slandered my man, the Tokay Gecko, and I am here to make them beat the allegations. The biggest thing with Tokay Geckos are people are gonna say, it is an aggressive animal, it's mean, it's aggressive, it's awful. The fact of the matter is, these are not an aggressive species, these are a defensive species. There is a big difference, and I'll show you right now. An aggressive animal, when I put my hand in here, here's a Tokay Gecko. An aggressive animal would run out from that pipe to bite my finger that I'm just leaving right there and not looking at it. What this Tokay Gecko is doing right now is backing up and barking at me, which shows it is not an aggressive, mean animal, it is a scared, defensive one. Thank you for the demonstration, sir. Breaks old Dakota's heart a little bit to see how mean people, how misunderstood the Tokay Gecko is. It is not this violent, mean animal. It is scared. You are a scary being, and these have the intelligence to understand that they should be fearful for an animal as big as us. I think I've made the case. Tokay Geckos are not mean animals, they are scared animals. And that's gonna bring us to our next topic at hand, and that's gonna be number 3. Oh shit. Number 3. They're really pretty. It's hard figuring out 5 things to talk about. And let's be honest, the Tokay Gecko's one of the most beautiful geckos out there. Think about it this way. Could you imagine telling someone that has never seen a Tokay Gecko before, yeah, there's actually a bright blue gecko that gets somewhere around 12 inches long that is blue with orange or red polka dots. Sounds like something a child made up in their imagination, but the truth of the matter is that gecko exists. Well, because I'm holding it in my hand. Tokay Geckos are a gorgeous species of animal. I think it's the reason why most people do get Tokay Geckos. They know about the personality and the meanness, quote unquote, but what they really like about it is how pretty it is. It makes a great display animal for those reasons, and it's something that is a big pro for Tokays. However, we can take this one step further, because unlike other boring gecko species, I mean, chihuahuas, yeah, they got one pattern. Morphs? I'm sorry, where? One gargoyle mutation? Maybe 2? Wow, that kind of sucks. Let's talk about Tokay morphs. There are a ton of Tokay Gecko morphs. I believe at the time of this recording, there are 12 over here in the United States, and we're just talking about the US. When you go over to Indo, the stuff that we haven't been able to get in over here, it changes the game. There are some absolutely breathtaking animals for the Tokay, or breathtaking morphs. That is the animal. The best part about it is we are just scratching the surface of breeding Tokay Geckos. Right now, we have only been captive bred producing single gene animals. However, in Indonesia right now, they are getting combo morphs going. I believe the Diablo 2 Super Red morph, they call it the ghoul over there, an absolutely incredible looking animal. And we are just now getting our visual to hets for our combo morphs, which means in the next 2 to 3 years, the Tokay Gecko game and how we look at the Tokay Gecko is going to completely change. It's something I'm absolutely excited for, and something that I am going to heavily be involved in, creating some US world's first combinations over here alongside with my buddies that are also doing the same. And like I said, in the next few years, man, we are going to have some crazy stuff when it comes to Tokay Gecko morphs. Alright, this isn't grandstanding on why you should get into the Tokay Gecko game on the ground floor. Come on, let's talk about what— oh, third, the allegations. You can't beat them by acting out like this. Moving on, let's get into number 4, the accomplishment you feel when you tame out a Tokay Gecko. Like all the other geckos out there, or I guess reptiles out there, most of the time, they're dumb. Now, like we said, Tokay Geckos are very intelligent. Take that to comparing like a crested gecko, right? Crested geckos come out of the eggs tame. They're a little flighty, kind of like how Bird is right now as a tame gecko, but a baby crested is not gonna bite you, it's not gonna fling, it's not gonna squeak, it's pretty much tame right out of the egg. And where is the sense of accomplishment in that? Now, when we talk about taming Tokay Geckos are pretty much like the dark souls of gecko taming. Unlike the other species, you have to actually gain the Tokay Gecko's trust. It's not gonna come out of the egg calm. You gotta put in the work if you want to have something like this. Please don't jump. I'm showing you off and how calm you are. Thank you. They also listen to directions. Very cool thing. The truth of the matter is, it doesn't take as long. I've seen people being like, it took me 2 years to tame out my Tokay Gecko. That is insane, brother. It took 2 weeks to get Bert the way he is. Really interesting thing about Tokay Geckos is it's not going to be something that's from a gradual curve. Let's say with monitor lizards, we have to slowly gain these threads of trust with them, and then slowly over time they will become habitualized to you and they'll be good to go. With Tokay Geckos, I find it more of like a switch. You just have to get them to figure out that you are not a threat and you are an okay thing. Kind of like a giant jungle gym that has moving planes for you to hop around on. This is a fun experience for the Tokay, not a bad one, and you just have to teach the gecko that you're not a threat. Then once you do that, you're good to go. Your Tokay Gecko is tame. I can go months and months without handling Bert and showing him off. If I'm not doing shows and I'm not filming him in videos, I don't really take him out too often. So we can go 2, 3, 4 months, and then when I need to bring him to a show as the ambassador Tokay, I bring him and he's completely fine and just chills out on my hand like this right here. I will say Bert is a captive bred animal, a CBB, second generation captive bred animal, and it took about 2 weeks to tame him out. He was just like any other flailing, open mouth, squeaking baby. Well, he's about 6-7 months, so I guess subadult juvenile. And then in 2 weeks, we got him this just by constantly holding him and him realizing when we do hold him, we don't actually hurt him. I'm actually in the process right now of taming my largest, biggest, meanest wild-caught Tokay gecko. It's gonna be quite a video. I don't know how long it's gonna go on. It's gonna just depend on how long it takes for me to tame him out. We're gonna do the same thing that we did with a captive bred animal and see if it takes longer or the same amount of time to do with a wild-caught imported species animal. The same species. Lastly, the last reason why I believe Tokay geckos are absolutely amazing and I guess this doesn't have to do with making a great pet. Number 5, they're parental. Just gotta put it in because it's just like the coolest thing in the world. Speaking of the intelligence of a Tokay gecko, Tokay geckos are parental. Not just the mom, but the dad and the mom both show. So it's not just a parental species or a maternal species of gecko, it is a parental where both the male and female can live in a family group. To put a baby crested in with your crested gecko pair, that baby's gonna be food because crested geckos lack brain cells. They are the dummies of the reptile world and they see a small creature and go, oh! Not Tokay geckos. That has to be the coolest thing about Tokay geckos. The fact that they are smart enough to realize which geckos are their geckos. Usually what you would do is you leave the eggs in and the mother usually takes care of the eggs or the dad will take turns. They'll guard the eggs and when they hatch, the baby will go in with the parents and they teach the baby how to hunt, how to catch food, and kind of take care of the animal. However, something that we discovered in this video right here is the fact that Tokay geckos will remember their babies even if the eggs are not hatched in the enclosure itself. That was the coolest discovery I ever made, was the fact that we could artificially incubate Tokay gecko eggs, incubate them for the full amount of time, hatch the babies out, put the babies back in the cage with the parents, and they will remember that baby and treat it as its own. Of course, this is just a little bit more of a hypothesis. We'd have to do more testing, and testing that I really wouldn't want to do. That would be, do the parents recognize the specific baby, or do they just recognize that it is a baby and take care of it? Have to put babies from unrelated pairings into each other's enclosure. That's something personally I just don't want to risk. I think that'd be a little bit too far in the science area. How far are we gonna go for knowledge? I'm not gonna risk babies being eaten potentially. Dakota, you were talking so much smack before. Crested geckos, they're dumb. Why don't you show how smart the Tokays are? I don't know, man. Someone else can do it. I don't want to be that guy. I'm not that guy this time. And there you have it, boys and girls. Why Tokay geckos actually make great pets. I hope we beat the allegations this time. I hope this was a good video and you guys learned a couple of things on why Tokays are not mean, nasty animals, but actually are a pretty cool species to keep. If you guys want to learn more about Tokay geckos, the best thing to do is subscribe because I'm always coming out with new Tokay gecko stuff. And we also have this playlist right here. It has like 70 Tokay videos. Maybe you want to check out the last one we did where we actually, 10 seconds. We have 10 seconds left of the video. Other thing, right here, there's a video. As always, thank you so much for taking the time in your day to follow us over here at Dakota Blue Exotics. I will see you guys next time, but until then, goodbye.